You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode.
Good morning and welcome to Power Talk. I am Micah Ponce, the Communications and Media Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative. Got a new name this week, Libby. Co-host Libby Roerig, the Director of Marketing and Communications, joining me as always. Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks. Micah, today's show is sponsored by Roundup Weed Killer.
That's perfect. Perfect for today's segment, I think.
Beautiful.
Well, for those of you who are listening, you've heard we've got a couple guests in studio. We have Mr. Jason Smith, the Director of Corporate Services, and Mr. Gerald Gadsden, the Facilities and Grounds Technician. And as always, we like to welcome our guests with a special gift. What do we have for him, Libby?
Yes, we have a branded Power Talk mug. And, you know, Micah, we've done a lot of shows and handed out a lot of mugs, but I think we're about to hit the marketing big time, considering as much coffee as Gerald drinks.
It's basically his main job here at the co-op, from what I understand. If you're looking for Gerald, just go out to the coffee pot, and there will be.
37 years of drinking coffee. I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of gallons consumed.
Thank you very much.
Well,
thank you.
Welcome, Jason and Gerald, to the show. Neither of you are new to the co-op, especially you, Gerald. But we're glad to welcome you as new guests to Power Talk and add you to the ranks of our alumni. Yes. So what we always do, Jason, I think you're familiar with the show at least, and you know some folks might be familiar with you, but give us a little bit of background, anything you'd like to tell the folks who are listening out there in Radio Land.
Yeah, so I've actually had the privilege of being on here a couple times in my previous role with Manager of Safety. So got to talk to the folks about safety, and then another segment I believe was on storm safety. Yeah. So that was a good time, and you know, I took this new role about a year ago, being over corporate services, and you know, talking to Libby the other day, and I was like, Libby, we should really get in front of the audience and give them a little bit about what we do. And she immediately was like, can Gerald come? I was like, of course
He's not doing anything but drinking coffee. Got plenty of free time.
Gerald, we appreciate you taking time out of your tough schedule.
Well, quite welcome. Thank you.
So a little bit about me. You know, when I graduated high school, wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So like some people that don't know, joined the military, spent 4 years there. Got out and really wanted to get a job in an industry where I knew it was going to be needed forever. You know, I didn't want to get in one of those things that kind of come and go. Yeah. So I got into the energy sector and, you know, started reading meters and working my way back through school, worked for an investor-owned utility and some contractors, ended up with the co-ops. And, you know, coming up on about 20 years with electric utility now, and I've worked my way from meter reader to lineman to foreman to manager of safety to director of corporate services.
Well,
and we're going to find out more about your role and what all corporate services does, but safety is still a huge part of what your department does and your responsibility.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, being over the different areas that I'm over now, I mean, safety plays into it every day. Yeah. You all know, I mean, as being a co-op employee, I mean, safety is all of our jobs. So that aspect of it never goes away. And when you got employees like Gerald, safety has to be at the forefront, you know. That coffee's hot, isn't it, Gerald?
Thanks a lot.
Well, Gerald, we don't want to leave you out, and among cooperative employees, you really need no introduction. But for those people who haven't had the privilege of working with you or sharing, a cup of coffee and sitting down, share a little bit about yourself and your long history with the co-op.
And be sure to tell Cookie hi.
I will. Now here, I'm Gerald Gadsden again. When I started, 1992.
Was that 1902?
1992, I believe. And the co-op was much different back then. We had, this job was actually created for me as billing and ground. So, back then. And at the time, I was basically taking care of everything, the ground, the grass, the maintenance, all by myself. And during the summer, I would get summer help. And so everything was back then, and we bought our first lawnmower back, just one little tractor cutting the whole thing. So
And spraying Roundup.
and spraying Roundup. We left that
He
out.
got a backpack sprayer for that.
And
He looked like Ghostbusters.
we got a little old backpack sprayer back then. We didn't have the one we have now. And so those were back in the older days when we were had. Now, I went through 3 CEO. Mr. Strickland, Mr. Cartwright, and now Mr. Fowler.
Which one did you like the best?
I was about to say, you jumped ahead. You must have read my notes because I had that you've been through several CEOs.
Yes, 3 of them.
Who's your favorite?
Yeah, who's your favorite? Now, keep in mind that all 3 of them will be seeing this episode.
All 3 of them was beautiful.
They were beautiful, or they were your favorite?
When I said they were, all 3 of them was my favorite.
For different reasons, just like children.
Yeah,
you know,
picking your favorite child.
yeah.
No.
It's a pretty good answer, Gerald.
Yes, they all did their duty the proper way. And
Good
I
answer.
enjoyed working on all 3 of them. And I appreciate that. Now,
And they enjoyed working for you, too.
yes, and I had, I think, the attorney, I think his grandson worked with me for a couple years.
Oh, okay.
And he appreciated I trained him. And so does the board member. Her grandson worked under me for a couple years.
So they're
She
all
appreciate
sufficient now and drinking coffee.
They're all are on their own and doing fine, Mr. Jason.
They owe all their success in life. to
Right?
Gerald.
All to
So
Gerald.
thank you. And so now the difference today is now that I was moved from, especially from building and ground by itself to facility under Jason, and now we have contract that takes the load off of the building and ground. So
Just one man. Yeah.
so instead of one man, we have now a group from the contract that cut the grass, and I'm just doing facility under Jason.
Okay.
So that's the difference between now and back.
Do you want to share any of your personal background? You're supposed to tell Cookie hi.
Well, hi, Cookie. My background
That's his
is
wife.
I love to make joke. I like to have a good personality. And the key is having a good personality with people takes you a long way. No matter how smart you are, how much degree you have, if you have a bad personality, you're not getting too far in life.
Yeah.
So
True.
that's one of the special gift that God have given is good personality to everybody,
Yeah.
no matter who they are, and it'll keep you. With whatever work you do, whatever job you have, a good personality, and do what you're supposed to do. And you can ask questions to your supervisor, but make sure you stay in your lane and in a proper way, and you'll always keep your job.
What he means by that is last week we were actually planting plants, and I was digging holes, and I look over, and Gerald was in his truck driving across the parking lot. That's staying in your lane, right? I just want to make sure I'm clarifying. I'm trying to figure this out.
But I said stay in your lane doesn't challenge the supervisor.
He looked like he was having fun digging those holes. He was going to leave him alone.
That's right.
Let him have a good time.
Had a smile on my face. He figured I was happy.
Yes, that's it. Keep the supervisor happy, and
Very good advice.
yes.
Yeah. Well, as we've mentioned, both of you work in our corporate services department, and this department's gone through a few name changes over the years, which is probably a reflection of the tremendous scope of responsibilities that you guys manage. So, Jason, tell us what all services are included in corporate services and a little bit about each.
Yeah, so in the corporate services umbrella, we have obviously facilities and grounds where Gerald works. I've got a great team over there. We've got a fleet services department, which I'll talk about a little bit, but takes care of all the equipment that Berkeley Co-op uses, and then our loss prevention department, which even after it was structured, kind of got restructured again as we continue seeing retirements and personnel changes and the need to, change scope and make things more efficient. So facilities and grounds, obviously takes care of all our buildings, all the grounds surrounding our buildings. Right now we currently got about 411,000 square foot of total building space under roof on 123 acres. And you can just imagine what comes with that. We've recently been extremely lucky. The past CEO, Mr. Cartwright, and the new CEO, Mike Fuller, they've pushed and invested a lot into getting us some new facilities, which were much needed. Our other buildings, we're 75, 80 years old. So with that comes, a lot of benefits for the facilities and grounds departments, but it also comes with a lot of challenges. Technologies are newer. Parts are more intricate, so there's a lot of things that are changing in that department, a lot of technology that we have to make sure we're staying abreast upon and keeping up with, and to maintain everything. The fleet services department, it's wide open. They stay busy. We have about 500 pieces of equipment at the co-op. I just had to get the mileage for a report the other day. We average on about 3 million miles a year.
Oh my goodness!
That we put on our equipment. So they stay extremely busy. We've got the garage over in Johns Island. It's kind of a satellite office, and then we got the main one here in Monk's Corner. So they're again lucky. We've had that when I took over some of these different areas, we've had people in place, key figures and positions and employees, and we haven't had a lot of turnover. So that's been extremely beneficial, from trying to manage this. And then the loss prevention department's kind of our newest formed department. When I was manager of safety, one of the things I was over was also liabilities and claims. So when I got promoted into this role, the restructuring, they thought it would be a good idea for the liabilities and claims to come over with me. And then at the time, it also entailed environmental compliance and then corporate security. Since then, we've had some VP changes and some other structure changes. So the environmental compliance went over to the engineering department, which I was not disappointed about, if I'm going to be honest. So that was a little bit of a load off of us. And but we stay extremely busy because any third-party claims, down to when there's a car accident out there and somebody hits and damages our equipment, to general liability claims when we go out and do work. If we accidentally damage something, we deal with it all. It all comes through our department. So, and we're doing all these responsibilities, and like I said, we're doing more than what the department used to have, and we're actually doing it more efficiently because we're actually doing it with less employees now. So just looking at processes and technologies, things like that can help us continue to be as efficient as we can, and it's kind of a little rundown on what we do anyways.
Talking about the new facilities we have and fleet services, it reminded me one of the big reasons to consolidate the garage with the headquarters and the district office was, previously before we moved into our new headquarters, you had to drive if you were in the Monk's Corner district office or the Monk's Corner headquarters, 15 minutes to take your vehicle here, get it serviced, and another 15 minutes back. And now it's within walking distance. It's all the same plant.
Well, with the size of our facility, it takes about 15 minutes to walk from the building to the garage.
We're going to look at getting maybe some Segways or something. We just jump on them bad boys and run over there.
But, just that thought hadn't occurred to me in a couple of years since we've moved into the new facility. But that is definitely one of the added efficiencies that we have with this new headquarters. Absolutely.
I mean, we actually were able to take 4 separate locations where we had to, spread out because we just maxed out on everything. And we were renting spaces over here. And like you said, the garage was 15 minutes away, and we were able to combine all those back into one. So, company-wide, it's been a tremendous move. And at the end of the day, it really saves our members, money by us being more efficient. So it's been a great move.
But, if you've ever built a new house, you expect when you move in, everything's going to work perfectly for years, and that's just not the case in any new construction. Is you've got to get in it and figure out, how things should work, and like you're saying, keep up with the new technology. But inevitably, things don't work as they're designed, and you've got to make tweaks and adjustments as well. So it's still very busy, even though you're in a new facility.
Yeah. So what I've found is everything that's designed now lasts 13 months, because at 12 months the warranty ends, and at 13 we got to replace it. But no, it's been good. It's been something different for me, coming from the line work side, and then almost 10 years in the safety side. This new role has been great, and I took over at a good time, because another scope in this area is special projects. Well, special projects has been the building projects. We obviously redid Ondaw and Goose Creek just a little bit ago, which I was over, but the main majority of the building projects are done, so I kind of took over that task at a good time.
Yeah.
Well, Gerald, you've been around the block once or twice here at the co-op.
Yes, I did.
Been here. You're one of our longer tenured employees.
Yep.
I mean, and you're the guy on the ground dealing with all these new technologies. So, I mean, I guess, what are some of the big changes that you've seen in our buildings and grounds during your time here? Is there anything that really sort of sticks out to you as a big improvement, or something that's really changed?
Well, the new equipment and stuff that they have for the building and ground. First, some changes I see where we were looking into this robot lawnmower that cut the grass that just worked by remote, and we haven't got it yet, but that is a change that I never thought I would see first building and ground. So those are some new things that I see that come to my eye that I have not experienced back in the older days. So that was one of the...
Well, a robot mower might be a good idea, because I seem to remember that I had to pull you out of a ditch not that long ago on the lawnmower.
Yes.
So having a robot lawnmower might be an advantage. I mean, do they require a driver's license for those things? That's what I want to know.
No, you just got to learn how to operate it and stay out of harm's way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, let's move that robot lawnmower higher up on the list so we can keep Gerald out of the ditches.
And Micah, you're newly certified in unmanned systems, so
That's true.
Perhaps Jason, you can have Micah help you out if he has some free time.
We're always looking for additional help, Micah. between the robot lawnmowers and the post hole diggers, we got plenty to do over here.
Well, folks, if you're just joining us, this is Power Talk, and we're about halfway through the show. We're talking with Jason Smith and Gerald Gadsden about Berkeley Electric and its buildings and grounds and fleet maintenance and all kinds of stuff that goes into keeping the cooperative running on a day-to-day basis. We were just talking briefly about the garage and the advantage of that, and one of the reasons why that's advantageous is because, I mean, our fleet is probably going to be a significant investment for the co-op. I mean, how much does an average bucket truck run these days? Close to...
I mean, it depends on exactly which bucket truck, but just a ballpark figure out there, they're running about 400,000.
So close to $500,000.
Yep.
For one truck.
Yeah, we went back this last year. Some of the changes with me taking over, we're really looking at, the overall fleet management program and managing, where our equipment is, how much life it's got left in it, what we need to budget the following year. And if you go back the last 5 years, we average anywhere from about $2.5 to $3.5 million a year in new equipment just to keep the fleet running. I mean, as a total, I think we're sitting somewhere around $42 million worth of equipment from the fleet management side. So it definitely is a big part. It's an expensive part, but it's invaluable. I mean, you got to have it.
Definitely. And you had mentioned, a little bit earlier too, that we said that loss prevention is part of the department. What does that look like for our membership? Why is it important? And I mean, I guess, if a member runs into something, how do they report that?
So the loss prevention side is extremely important for our members. The thing I love about the co-op the most is, obviously we're here for the members we serve. And, with that being said, when you look at, your specific example there with somebody running into something, you know, it's important for us to make sure we're getting that money back from whoever does do the damage. And that might not sound great if you're the one doing the damage. But if you think about it, if we got, you know, and I probably should have brought some numbers with me, but say $200,000 worth of damage to our equipment, if we're not going out there and reaching out to the insurance companies and the people responsible for doing it, that's $200,000 that our members are basically going to have to eat and pay, because, you know, if you know, if there's money left at the end, obviously it goes back in capital credits or rebates, and that just all digs into it. So the liabilities and claims department, I mean, they are busy. We've even expanded this last year, and now we're taking the next step, going to small claims courts when we have to. If, you know, obviously it's got to be under a certain threshold, but I see that department probably growing, unfortunately. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but just the amount of claims out there. I mean, the growth in the low country in our service territory is huge, and you can just imagine you know, contractors out there, obviously they're not meaning to damage, but they're digging in services, they're digging in whatever. I mean, it's a daily occurrence where some of our utilities are getting hit and we're having to go out there and fix them. So,
well, and we talk a lot on this show about the diversity and spread of our territory. You know, a lot of folks don't realize we serve beyond just Berkeley County because the name's Berkeley Electric, but we're portions of the Tri-County, and we're out on the islands, you know, up to the National Forest, you know, and everything kind of in between, municipalities, rural. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen in any of those areas, unplanned. So. And
unfortunately, we do end up with power theft here and there, and a lot of times people might think that's sort of a quote-unquote victimless crime, but like you mentioned, it's got to come from somewhere. So, I mean, if power is being, you know, used illegally, that's money that's coming out of the members' pockets. So, for example, I mean, if somebody's like running a, you know, tapping into somebody else's power or copper theft or anything along those lines, what's the proper way for somebody to report something, you know, see something, say something?
That's right. I mean, whether it's you saw somebody damage something, you suspected somebody, you know, power theft, you can contact our main line or go on our website, contact them, let them know what the situation is, and that will circle back to my, you know, our department. The corporate security department, they investigate power theft all the time. I say all the time, I mean, it's gotten better with the new meter technology out there. You know, we were able to pick up on some of this stuff quicker, but somebody's still got to go out there. So yeah, just really reach out to the main number. The people in the contact center, they're terrific. They'll get it, you know, the information, they'll get it where it needs to go, and we'll get out there and take care of it right away.
And we're watching behind the scenes as well. Some members may not be aware that we have a proactive high bill review program. It's a partnership with our energy services department and our billing department. And what they're watching for is unusual spikes in power usage. So if you have, say, a vacant rental property and somebody moves in and is stealing power by virtue of living there, we're going to see your power go from basically nothing usage-wise to spike to somebody being there and probably taking showers and whatnot. And we call you and reach out to you as a member and say, hey, we notice some unusual activity in your usage. Let's dig into this. A lot of times it's equipment failure, water heater leak, HVAC problems. You know, but we're watching behind the scenes to help out our members and make sure that we're doing what we can to be good stewards of your usage and your bill.
Yep, and this is important to note, though, that all we know is that the amount of power that's being used. We don't know what you're doing inside your house. All we know is that there's a big jump in what we would normally see from we've got a profile of what your house uses, and if something goes up out of range. And we've actually encountered that in some cases where, you know, somebody will say, hey, my rental property's, you know,
nobody's
power,
living there.
you know, nobody's living there. Power's gone up. And I mean, that's a real world example that we said, well, you know, you might want to check. And it turns out somebody who had a key to it was making use of the hot tub. So those are real world examples that happen every day. And you know, with, like you had mentioned, the new meter technology that we have, I mean, it's a benefit to the members. It helps repair, locate outages a lot faster. So it helps us find the power theft. That helps us look for damages. So all of those investments in our facilities and infrastructure are extremely important to what we're doing here at the co-op and part of our modern facilities.
Yeah, definitely. So, as Micah mentioned, Berkeley Electric's so fortunate to have modern facilities that all 4 of our districts are operating out of, including the headquarters that we just moved into summer of 22. So let's talk for a minute how that investment has created opportunities and challenges. We've done this a little bit for corporate services. So, Jason, we'll let you respond first from an overall perspective of managing the department, kind of opportunities and challenges with all the new facilities.
I think opportunities, it's been a great opportunity for our facilities and grounds department to expand their scope of work, and their we're investing a lot more in training, and so that way we can learn and keep up on the new technologies there. We're able to remote in to a lot of various problems. The AC systems, this is something new we just found out the other day, but we can buy an adapter for the AC systems here and the AC systems over in Johns Island at our 2 newest facilities, as well as Goose Creek. And if there's a problem in Johns Island, would be able to remote in, see the problem, possibly fix the problem on the backside without having to send a tech all the way over to the Johns Island office. So, with that there's great opportunities there, but it also, that stuff alone presents its own challenges, So just making sure we keep the team up to speed and trained and get the right people, in there, which we've, as I said, I've been fortunate enough. We've had the people in place, and they're doing a great job. I mean, Gerald, he makes a mean cup of coffee. Nobody complains. So it's when you got good, when there's good people in place, it makes things as a supervisor easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So, Gerald, how have you seen the coffee pot technology evolve over the years?
Before we even get to the coffee pot, let's go back to, and I think Mikey was here when we, back during the time, was on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And from paper, then we start in the class how to change on the computer to send it directly to the check, because we was getting a check by paper.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, Mikey?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the biggest change I see now. Today we went to the class for computer to learn how to do your time on the computer. So that was new to me.
Yeah.
And make change so you can go direct deposit in your checking account. If you didn't, you had to create one.
Yeah.
To go into checking. So those were some big new changes I see during the time when you have to do your timesheet and so forth. And like Jason said, this as the time go by, new equipment and new stuff you had to do on the computer instead of paperwork. So there was some different changes.
Well, how about the new facilities here? Has that made any difference in your daily life as
Oh, a lot different.
Okay, well, tell me.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it's just
Don't hold it to yourself.
Less labor, but when I say labor, I mean hard work first with your labor hand.
He's working with his mind now instead of.
I just want to throw out there. Remember, I was the one digging the holes.
Right.
So less labor.
So is it the facility or?
Once you operate the machine the right way, the machine mostly do the hard
I'm the machine.
work.
I don't know.
Now, there are a point where you have to use a shovel or the postal digger, and I'll get out there and help. Boop. Help dig the hole.
Get out there and supervise.
Yes.
Supervise the supervisor.
I would say supervisor.
I do believe I've seen you have both of the 2 CEOs that have been here under my time up on a ladder changing out lights while you watched them.
Now, hey, it wasn't my fault now. Because I was getting ready to do the job. He said, "No, Gerald, let me get up there because I don't want you to fall off that ladder." I said, "No, I got it." He said, "I got it." And boom, there he went. So that's why that happened.
So I can definitely see where the less labor-intensive, key piece is coming in here.
Well, Gerald, I mean, you've been here for a little bit. There's a good chance you might outlast all of us here sitting around the table. So what does it take to have a successful career at Berkeley Electric? Share your wisdom, sir.
Here's what. try to have a good state of mind, treat people like the way you would like to be treated, whether you're an employee or outsider. Have a good attitude, do what you are told by your supervisor, whatever. Do what you are told to do, and do the best of your ability of doing it. Try to come to work every day on time. It's a little different when you have a flat tire or something, coming to work or something. That's a different thing, or you happen to get sick on the way or whatever. They can understand being late, but try not to be late and do your job the best way you can and treat everybody fair. I think you'll have a long career.
Words of wisdom. And with that, folks, thank you for tuning in to Power Talk. This is the official broadcast of your electric cooperative. You can catch up on past episodes on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and get a behind-the-scenes look on Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. And everybody say, bye to Cookie. Bye, Cookie.
Bye, Cookie.
Gerald, let's go get some coffee.